In the wake of a recent government order to destroy ancient Swedish artifacts, the struggle to erase Swedish history, break down Swedish culture, and force the Swedes to assimilate into the multicultural globalist phenomenon is going according to plan. Following the revelations of one of its angry archaeologists, it emerges that the curators of Stockholm's Landsmuseum have been ordering the systematic destruction of newly found artifacts from the Iron Age and the Viking period under the guise that it would be too burdensome to process. Coins, arrowheads, ritual amulets, weapons, jewelry, and weights that were kept in the past are now directly dumped into metal recycling bins upon discovery instead of being treasured and displayed. Following a recent surge in excavations aimed at construction for low-income housing for immigrants that are occurring all over Sweden, the museum excavators are instructed to recycle unearthed iron elements into scrap metal following the pretext that it would take too much resources to process, identify, and store them. The findings are usually quickly disposed of in order to make way for construction machines and building workers. This was kept secret until this week's declarations by Johan Runer, archaeologist at the said museum. He tried to raise the alarm before but only met indifference from the liberal Swedish media. According to Runer, this has been going on since at least 2015, as he recalls the example of an entire human settlement from the Bronze and Iron Age that discreetly got leveled to allow roadworks for Sweden's E6 motorway to progress. We do not know so far if this practice only incriminates this museum or is in part of a greater scale. Runer explains that the archaeologists cannot themselves auction the findings to the private sector as it would encourage crooks and robbers to then resell the treasure. The money argument for a national museum implanted in one of the most prosperous countries on earth, for now, before the new Swedes do what they do best, does not make sense. There is no shortage of funds in Sweden to host more refugees and promote multiculturalism in every media, but the money seems to vanish when it's time to preserve European common heritage. The tragic aspect of this situation is that those construction works that unearth the artifacts destined to be destroyed are probably the new buildings needed to house the freshly arrived migrants that the Swedish government is so eager to welcome. Talk about full circle. Archaeological artifacts made of iron are altered by time and roughened by the terrain. No one can really judge of their quality and uniqueness until they have been processed and restored. In this particular case, no chance is taken, and anything made of metal that is not well conserved is ditched. It was even kept relatively secret until one researcher could take it no more, and had to tell the world. Why did they not invite other museums around the globe to collect and protect their artifacts in their name if money was still an issue? Why don't they store them in labeled wooden boxes as it was done for hundreds of years? If not, let them ask for voluntary work to take care of the findings, or let it be given to the native people that are interested in this culture. Even if they were used as doorstops or cutlery, they'll take better care of it than any Swedish liberal government. Terminally ill patients suffering from liberal cancer, like Alice Bah Kuhnke, New Swede, and Sweden's Minister of Culture, are the ones that now approve those decisions and define what should compose Swedish history and choose what will be Sweden's future. It also follows recent claims from leftists that ancient marble statues made thousands of years ago are actually racist and were specifically used to whitewash history. And lately, the BBC used an incompetent feminist professor's views to create an educational cartoon where, among other things, Roman centurions in Britain were black. In one of the episodes of this series, the Proto-Scots, or Picts, were depicted as black barons. There is not much difference between these liberal iconoclasts and the soldiers of the Islamic State's goons smashing millennia-old statues and monuments with sledgehammers. In both cases, those who destroy claim that the targets are false idols, the first against a multiculturalist future and the latter against Allah. Such practices are revolting to say the least. A prime example of how cultural Marxism aims at erasing the past to get rid of the last roots that our children can call theirs. Just like violent communist regimes in the past aimed first at burning libraries, bringing down churches, graveyards, and museums, before shooting countless millions in the back of the head. As many of our viewers already know, the knowledge of history is a core concept in masculinity. Without respecting the ancient traditions of men, a stable and healthy future cannot be built. By destroying elements attached to the idea of Viking culture, which valued financial success, bravery, and putting one's people first, Sweden's self-loathing decision-makers try to erase the few traces that show Sweden as something else than a multiculturally infected petri dish. Destroy a people's history so they cannot find a common heritage to fight for, and you can start anew and create the society that you seek. These, then, are the predictors and social softening techniques used by Western liberal global homo democracies in the run-up to their full-spectrum genocide of ethnic European populations. This is simply the dress rehearsal.